What's up, folks? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Autotempest.com, which is where you will find your next dream car. Autotempest.com makes searching for your next car so easy. You don't have to spend any time at all going to individual car sites like Cars.com, TrueCar, or Carvana. They bring all those listings together, plus they even link you to Facebook Marketplace and nationwide Craigslist results. They now offer search alerts. So all you have to do is you sign up to receive emails when new listings that match your search show up. This is a good one because they're really tough to find cars. You might want to jump on that. You might want to not have to all the time go back in proactively. And you could say, Auto Tempest, just tell me when someone lists an E46 M3 or whatever. Auto Tempest is really, really sweet. It's designed, and I can relate to this, it's designed to save you time, and saving you time saves you money. There's a lot of people that want to save money, but they're willing to waste a lot of time in order to save money, and they don't realize that you actually are wasting money by wasting time. That's why the convenience of Autotempest.com is exactly how you are going to save $1 on your next dream car purchase. You get all the cars with one search. All you have to do is go to Autotempest.com/TST so you know that we sent you. That's Autotempest.com/TST. We also brought to you today by the Blackvue Dash Cam series and the new DR900X Plus. You should never compromise when it comes to protecting your car, and now we are introducing the Blackvue DR900X Plus series dash cam. The Plus model has a new and improved 4K ultra high resolution front camera and a newer Sony Starvis sensor on the rear camera, so you can be sure you will capture all the important details both during the day and the night. They sent us one of these Blackvue dash cameras, and it is awesome. The picture quality is so great, front and rear, and it gives me the peace of mind that my car, day or night, is always protected. Whether it's from thievery, attempted fraud, or just needing someone to believe you when your side of the story, if you get into an accident, is right, having that dash cam is really, really good for a variety of situations. And with the new seamless pairing feature, connecting with the Blackvue app, transferring videos, and setting up your dash cam for the cloud connectivity, it's easier than ever. What about when you're away from your car? Well, with built-in voltage monitoring, you can leave your car protected by Blackvue's parking mode without fear of draining your car's battery. Thanks to the optional LTE connectivity module, the Blackvue DR900X Plus series dash cam keeps you always connected to your car from anywhere, even if you've got an old car. That means you can receive impact notifications on your mobile phone, check on your car with remote live view, pull up those cameras, and rest easy knowing that live event upload saves impact footage in real time to the cloud, including a 5-second pre-impact buffer. So if your car gets hit while it's parked, you'll have that video for your insurance company later. The new mobile hotspot function allows you to turn your LTE connected dash cam into a Wi-Fi hotspot for up to 5 devices. So that's extra cool if you're on a road trip and you need your people to be able to use their computers in the back seat or whatever. DR900X Plus model comes with an optional rear camera, which you can get now or add later on. You can go to Blackvue.com/TST. That's BLACKVUE, Blackvue.com/TST, and then use the promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackvue dash cam, plus free shipping for any order over $200. So Blackvue.com/TST, coupon code TIRE gets you 10% off any Blackvue dash cam with free shipping for orders over $200. And of course, we're brought to you again by Hellofresh. I love Hellofresh. Why? Because you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on Hellofresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Look, here's the thing. You don't want a service that sends you pre-made food. You think you do, but you don't. It's like eating leftovers all the time. That's why HelloFresh rules. They make it so you're cooking at home with fresh ingredients, but you don't have to think about the shopping. You don't have to waste time doing the shopping. You don't have to waste food and spices by buying more than you need just to cover your recipes, needs, right? And there's some spices that really work awesome in certain recipes, but you don't need to spend $10 or $12 on a spice for one recipe. It really messes up your finances, right? With HelloFresh, they offer 50 menu items and market items to choose from each week, from vegetarian meals and calorie smart choices to extra special gourmet options. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Recipes designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. And basically, when they send you these pre-measured ingredients, you just dump the whole thing in the recipe. You know how much to use, and there's not extras, so there's not extra waste. And you're not going to go through your spice cabinet or your fridge in 2 weeks and find a bunch of expired food that you didn't use because you had to buy more than you needed. It's better value. HelloFresh is over 30% cheaper than shopping at grocery stores with pre-portioned ingredients that ensure you won't spend money on excess food that ends up going in the trash. They've got flexibility. You can easily customize your order on the app within minutes, change your delivery day, your food preferences, plan size, or skip a week whenever you need to. If you're going out of town, skip the week, right? I really liked HelloFresh. I made about 2 weeks worth of their food. It was really delicious. And I kept the recipe cards. So if I wanted to make those recipes later for my friends or for parties or something, I've got those recipes forever. And it got me out of my cooking comfort zone. Even if you like to cook, odds are you're going to end up making like the same 5 or 10 things over and over because you know how to do it. You don't have to think about it. It's easy. But this keeps you eating variety, and that's good. So go to HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire14 and then use code SmokingTire14 at checkout for up to 14 meals, including free shipping. So you get that? HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire14 and then use code SmokingTire14 for up to 14 free meals, including free shipping, right? 14 free meals, Smoking Tire 14. Got it? All right. HelloFresh tagline is, it's America's #1 meal kit, and that is for a reason. All right, folks, and if you don't want to hear me read those ads, you can join our Patreon. You don't never have to listen to me read ads ever again. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast is how you get an ad-free listening experience. You don't have to wait for the Tuesday, Thursday schedule. You get shows right away. And you can ask your questions during our live broadcasts of our guests. That's all available at patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. All right, folks, on this episode of the podcast, Donald Osborne is calling in from his beautiful office at the Audrain Museum in Newport, Rhode Island. Donald is one of the directors of the museum, which has an amazing 300-car collection spanning all of automotive history. We talk about his personal history in the world of collector cars, his favorite collector cars, and more importantly, the Audrain Concours and Motor Week, an amazing new event that's happening in Newport, Rhode Island at the end of September. I will be there with my father checking out the scenes, so we're encouraging you all to get tickets and come out to both the ticketed events and the free events, of which there are many. And to tell us all about it, Donald Osborne on the Smoking Tire Podcast. And here we are with Don Osborne from Rhode Island. The man is a legend in collector cars. He's had columns in all the big magazines. He's had appearances on all the important television shows. And he's with us today talking about the Audrain Concours, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks in Newport. Don, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Matt. It's great to be here, and it's always great to talk about the things going on here in Rhode Island at the Audrain.
And for those of you who are just on the audio version of our show, Don is, as always, impeccably dressed, impeccably groomed.
Absolutely.
A pure man of taste, making me look like a real slob over here.
Well, I did live in California for 12 years, and one of the great reliefs that I had in coming back home to the Northeast is the fact that I could dress every day the way I normally dress and not have people ask me if I was going for a job interview or to a funeral.
Well, as you know, my father was with Ralph Lauren for 15 years. So you look like everybody in the C-suite at the Ralph Lauren offices. I mean, that's how people dress down there.
I remember quite vividly, I worked in the fashion business for a little while, and I remember when Casual Fridays came about, and I thought I totally resisted it with every bit of my soul and will, because I said I cannot and will not go to work in pajamas. I just can't do it.
I completely understand. My dad resisted the Casual Friday as well. They did it at the office at Ralph. They had a Casual Friday, but my dad stuck with the suit. He went full suit 5 days a week. He didn't do the Casual Friday.
Yeah, I think it's about being comfortable in whatever you're in, and that's a great and obvious segue into cars as well, because there are people who, and you've met some of them, who sort of wear cars because of what other people say it will do for them. Mm-hmm. And then there are people that can drive ridiculous cars, and yet it seems absolutely right because it suits them to a T, because they love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jay Leno is a perfect example of this. Who he can show up one day in a 1929 Bentley Brooklands single-seater Grand Prix car, that would be the crown jewel of anybody's collection, and he's throwing a 2-year-old in the seat and just it doesn't overheat in traffic, it's got like 30 gallons of oil, it's good, and then the next day he shows up in some really bizarre Firebird that someone just like gave him, like a 97 Firebird that your typical 100 millionaire would like never be seen in, but it's just pure appreciation for the automobile,
Exactly. And I think that's, I'm glad, one of the great pleasures I get with knowing Jay and working with Jay is to enjoy cars that way, because that's how I relate to cars. There are cars that I might not want to live with, that I might not want to write a check for, but that doesn't mean I can't find something really neat about them. And, I always think it's just me being judgmental, of course, but because that's my natural nature. But
well, you're a judge. It says exactly. Judge on your business card. I think that's like you're allowed. This is what the diploma says, sir.
I judge and I value. So
yes,
you're not worth that, and no, you should not be doing that.
That's very funny.
But it is very much about connecting with cars. And again, here at the Audrain, one of the reasons why I'm here in my role as CEO here and working with a great team here is because this place is all about sharing a passion for cars. We have cars that we display in the museum. We have cars that we take out on tours. We have cars that we take to Goodwood to run up the hill. We have cars that we take on the Mille Miglia. It's all about getting cars out and giving people access to cars. And that's the thing that is so great. And one of the things that really is very impressive, you saw in one of the pictures that you showed just now, are Cars and Coffee. We host Cars and Coffee here in Newport and the surrounding area from May until the end of October. And we've been getting up to 450 cars at every one of our Cars and Coffees.
Wow,
every
in Newport?
Week.
Wow.
In Newport.
I didn't realize that was such a huge car following in Newport. Wow.
We need to get you here, Matt.
Well, I'm coming. I'm going to see you in 2 weeks. You don't have, you've already gotten me. It's just a matter of waiting until the 27th before I can get in a plane. Yeah, I'm on the way.
Well,
don't worry.
It is an extraordinary thing. And that's one of the other things, too. Being an East Coast guy, being born and brought up in New York City, where my family didn't buy their first car till I was 12 years old. So I didn't grow up with cars. But I nonetheless fell in love with them. And I found something, not to say anything against my dear, dear, dear friends in California, but everyone always thinks of Southern California as the heart of car enthusiasm. And there's an amazingly passionate car community here in New England. And I think that people get to see it a little less than they might think. But these are people who use their cars to get out and share their cars, have a real car community. And perhaps part of that is having a car season. Obviously you want to enjoy your car while you can.
Yeah.
You're not going to waste any of the good days, any of the weekends. And of course, we can actually drive cars in the rain here, which is apparently quite rare during my 12
well,
years in Southern California.
they have a problem with that here in California. They don't like doing that so much. They don't have the skills really. But I'm from the Northeast as well. I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, which is really, and it has an enormous car culture. California is it's outsized in its media influence of cars, and that comes from not just Hollywood, but the fact that we have these beautiful canyon roads where a lot of the magazine features and the television shows are shot. But we can use the cars year round. So in the winter, when the Connecticut cars and the Newport cars are tucked away, we still get to drive our stuff. And so for half the year, they only see us driving the sports cars. But when I was talking about it in the last show, in New Canaan, Connecticut. I was at an enormous Cars and Coffee last weekend when I was out there. 500 cars, probably a couple thousand people, and heavy hitting stuff. I mean, everything from a Cunningham that raced at Le Mans, this Jaguar XJ13 prototype, Mercedes CLK GTRs, XJ220s, Auburn Speedsters, and MGTCs, and then your requisite modern cars as well. So the collector market is heavy in the Northeast for sure.
Yeah, and I think that you will be pleasantly pleased, if not surprised, when you get up here and you see the range of cars that not only here in the Audrain collections, but also here in the Concours, here in the Cars and Coffee field, and in all of the displays that we'll have, and the things that people will be driving around. It is a fact, by the way. On our YouTube channel, the Audrain Museum Network, we actually did an entire series of winter driving features.
Oh, cool.
So there are things that you can get out and drive, like Porsche 911 Tech Art.
911s on snow tires are incredibly
Absolutely.
badass. They're so
Fantastic.
fun. So fun. I love a 911 on snow tires. They're great. A car that has great dynamics on a dry surface, as long as you got the right rubber, will have great dynamics on a loose surface. That's just a rule of cars. So whether it's a Ferrari or a BMW M3 or a 911, with the right tires, those things will be fun in the snow. Really fun,
Yeah, it makes such a difference. It's like the wonderful, I believe it's a Finnish expression that there's no such thing as bad weather, just the wrong clothes.
That is very good.
That's great.
That sounds very Finnish. I could picture someone really, some blonde man, really deadpan saying that to me.
I think the guys on Deadliest Catch might disagree a little because they have all the clothes that still get wet, but mostly that's true.
Yeah. I want to come back to all the things that are going to be happening in 2 weeks, the whole run of show. But you're such an interesting character that you breezed right over. You didn't get your love of cars from your family because they didn't get car until you were 12. Well, where did it come from?
Well, I have two older brothers, both of whom are car enthusiasts, and so an older brother who subscribed to Road and Track and Car Driver and Sports Car Illustrated and Competition Press and Auto Week, and I was a voracious reader. As a kid, I had absolutely no friends, so I spent all of my time reading, and most of that reading was about cars. And even my love of languages, which later carried on into my operatic career, came from the fact that I started going to the library, reading car magazines from Germany and France and Italy, because I thought, wow, these cars look really neat. So I should try and figure out how to read these things. And
did you literally learn like German and Italian from reading car magazines?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Wow.
It was completely
opera.
useless, of course, and you try to have a conversation with someone because you're talking about technical specs of a Alpha 2600 or about how if you leave me, my heart will be broken forever.
That's
and
hilarious.
fly to heaven.
All I need to know is how to order a hamburger.
Right.
How do I get a cab? How do I order? Well, I could talk about the technical specifications of the suspension of the BMW 323, but that's awesome.
Not going to help.
So, what was your first car then?
My first car was a 1963 Corvair Manza convertible.
Oh, yeah. The Manza was the good one. Yeah, that's the fast one.
Absolutely. It was a very, very cool car. And it's very funny because even then I thought, well, yeah, this is a really neat car because it's got the great engineering, the flat six in the rear, and I thought it was a really cool looking car. And people have often asked me, how did I get into collector cars? And the cars I drove every day just became old.
Was this in 1963? Did you buy it new? Did you buy it new or close
How old
to
do you
new?
think I am?
I have no idea. You have the skin of a 25-year-old, the facial hair of a 70-year-old, and the I don't know. How old are you?
Yes. It was when I bought the car. It was an 11-year-old used car.
Okay.
And,
all right. Yeah.
I was a sophomore in college.
Okay.
And so the funniest thing is that after I had it for about a year, I thought, a friend who had a foreign car place in Avon, Connecticut. I went to the University of Hartford to the Hart College of Music, and he had a foreign car repair and sales place that I used to hang out in, and he had this wonderful 356B sunroof coupe that I thought, oh, this is very cool. I love these cars. So I wanted to trade my Corvair for the Porsche. I'd done research about values even back then, and they were about the same value.
Wow, it's the last time they were the same value.
Why don't you sell your Corvair and then just come and buy the Porsches? Like he didn't.
I don't want your trade.
in Central Connecticut. And of course,
hilarious.
He did me an immense favor because it was an absolute garbage car, with the sunroof that was sealed with silicone sealant and no sills. The carpeting was holding the sills together, things like that. But nonetheless, I always thought it was quite interesting. And that set a pattern for me in my life that I sort of rotate in and out of cars to have the experiences of them. Mm-hmm. I'm not ever going to be somebody who has a 100-car collection because it's just sort of moments in time and my moods.
Well, does being in charge of a car museum give you all of the enjoyment of having a 100-car collection without any of the annoyances and responsibility?
Well, I would say yes. We have here in the Audrain collections about 360 cars and about 65 motorcycles. I don't ride motorcycles, so that's fine for me. But I get to experience a great deal automotively that I don't have to own. And the collections here, again, like we were talking about the eclectic nature of Jay's collection, the Audrain collections run from 1899 to 2021. So there's every kind of automotive experience that you can possibly have. And I have definitely availed myself of the opportunity to try them all. Again, one of the things we do on the YouTube channel is I get out and I drive these cars and I give my impressions of what they're like to drive. Because one of the things that's also been really important to me, again, we go back to access, is that there are certain facts that are held to be absolutely true, usually by people who've never had any personal experience with them.
That's hilarious and totally right. As an owner of a Lamborghini Countach, I could have told you 5 years before I bought it that it was definitively a piece of shit. And now that I own one, I can tell you it is definitively not a piece of shit, and it is in fact incredible in many ways. Yeah, I 100% am with you. All of the world's automotive knowledge has been written by people who have never driven the cars. Yeah.
It is so frightening. And it's one of the things, again, coming back to both what we do here at the Audrain with our exhibitions, we really try to mix it up. We do 4 exhibitions a year at the museum, and they vary wildly. Right now we've got in a great exhibition, which you'll see when you come, New England hot rods. So we've got 18 cars in the museum gallery right now, 17 of which, thank you. I didn't get my arithmetic right at one point. 17 of which were built within 100 miles of Newport. So in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. And again, it's one of those things, they're not doing this whole, Jay and I are going to do a seminar during the Motor Week about East Coast versus West Coast collecting, which Jay likes to call our Biggie and Tupac conversation.
I think this is good. This is a good thing to know. I was going to ask, can you look at a hot rod and determine just by looking at the car if it's an East Coast or a West Coast car, and if so, what are we looking for?
Well, the answer to that question is absolutely yes. And as soon as you make the rules, they're broken. One of the things is the fact that most East Coast cars are coupes, because obviously
Shocking.
the weather.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, in our show, we have mostly roadsters. So go figure. The other is that East Coast cars generally have channeled bodies but not chopped roofs. And the West Coast cars generally have chopped roofs and unchanneled bodies.
Yeah, now that you've Zach has some pictures up here on our screen, and yeah, not a chopped roof or a chopped windshield among them. It's actually, that's interesting. Why did that style develop that way? Are they just taller?
They like to see.
Exactly. See, thank you for saying that, because that's the kind of thing that gets me into great trouble with all my West Coast friends. That yes, when you are posing next to your West Coast hot rod, you don't have to see out the windshield because you're not driving.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's cold.
That is practicing for the seminar.
That's very funny.
But it is a very interesting thing, and also there was, because they didn't have, although a lot of the East Coast hot rodders did go out west and run at Bonneville and the other dry lakes. Dry lake scene was obviously an East Coast scene. So there was lots of street running and drag racing. Mm-hmm. And for that, you needed far more visibility. And aerodynamics didn't play the role that they did in some of the West Coast cars.
Yeah, that's interesting. The SoCal speed shop style with the scallops and the really low, attempt at aerodynamics. Because they would go to Bonneville or El Mirage. Yeah, they'd try to get into the triple digits with these things, which was probably terrifying.
Although there's a great car here in the exhibition that actually did go to Bonneville, and it's something that is a wonderful story too. Again, because these all about the stories of the people in these cars.
Is it the 1934 Ford Competition Coupe 400 Junior?
No, if you scroll down,
that one looks like a Bonneville car.
Correct. So I scroll up.
See.
There we go. Why is it there on the page? That's
Ford Coupe. It hasn't made the front page, unfortunately.
There we go. It's actually at the top. The Bannister Ford Roadster. Right.
Oh, Bannister Ford Roadster. Really interesting looking car. No fenders at all. Kind of a funky grill shape that's been sort of rounded off. Really, really funky looking car.
It's actually the grill. The grill is a truck grill, but it actually is also, there it is at Bonneville, a form of the Delahaye 135 Grand Prix car. And so he drove the car with his wife and young child from here out to Bonneville, ran at Bonneville, and then drove it back home.
Oh, what a G.
So it's...
That's because, especially because, imagine how tired you'd be just driving that thing to Bonneville. Imagine how exhausted you'd be by the time you got there in that. Oh my God, it's got no roof.
There's stories like that throughout this show. There's actually a chopped Ford 5-window that's built by a fellow named Fred Steele, and he actually drove that car from here to Indianapolis for the Indianapolis drags, then drove it to Tijuana to have a tuck and roll interior installed, because they did great upholstery work down in
I think they still
Tijuana.
do. I think the Mexicans still do very good interior and convertible top work. I've had multiple friends of mine go, "Oh, you need," I was talking about doing some crazy interior, like, just send it to TJ. I'm like, what does that mean?
Exactly.
Just send it to TJ. Like, I need a guy. Can I get a guy's name?
And just park it in the middle.
Drive to town, open up your door, and say, "I want my interior done."
Yeah,
no problem, sir.
No problem.
Have a cerveza and wait, and we'll get your interior done.
How did that happen? Why are they so good at doing interiors in Mexico? Where did that come from?
I don't know. That would actually be a fascinating story to trace. I'll have to ask some of my friends down there where that came from. But again, the idea of these things being sort of works in progress and actual cars that you use. So he drove it across the country, drove it down to Mexico, had the interior done, then drove it back to New England and painted it. He hadn't had it painted yet.
Oh, man.
Wow.
So,
I guess the car shipping industry wasn't really a thing back then. It was like, I just got to go wherever it is. I'll see you in a month.
Well,
wild.
again, it's one of those things that I don't want to go too much further, because this is rapidly devolving into the East Coast versus West Coast thing. But again, cars are meant to be used and driven. It is wonderful that we all celebrate cars as wonderful objects, but they were at one point cars. And ultimately they remain cars. And that's one of the things that we also try to emphasize here in everything that we do, because we take the collections out, we encourage people to drive their cars. We have a division, Audrain Motorsport, that does tours and rallies and track days. So you want people to actually put miles on their cars. There's nothing sadder to me than an undriven car.
I agree. I mean, I'll throw one on a Team West Coast. My pal Bruce Meyer, who I'm sure you know, is a man of taste, is a man of immense means, and I call him the ultimate one-upper. Because there's ballers out there that have a Ferrari short wheelbase. Well, Bruce's Ferrari short wheelbase won Le Mans. There's ballers that have a great 32 Ford. Well, Bruce has the first one ever made, and to the guy's credit, he runs groceries in cars that have podiumed at Le Mans. And that's just a thing that he does, and there's folks like that around here too. My friend Doug Cohen, who's going to be at the Audrain, the Newport Hotel Group, is a great guy, bi-coastal, and he runs around
as I call him, a dual local.
Yeah, and this guy's running around in the Lamborghini Countach that paced Monaco in '83, the safety car with a light bar and a loud hailer and graphics on it, and he runs around in this thing. It's awesome. It's great. We have this in California too.
It's fantastic, Matt. Yes, you named two people who I know and who are very much enthusiasts. So when you come, I'll introduce you to about 100 of them.
It is cold, man.
but it is. If I can, I would like to make a mention for the seminar that Jay and I are doing. I would like to make a very big plug for the seminars. The seminar program is outstanding. It's incredible. The entire event, the Audrain Newport Concours and Motor Week, carries with it as the base the theme of what this city is, which is history, luxury, and sport. And this year, we're sort of putting an emphasis on sport. The sporting history of automobiles in Newport is absolutely astonishing. A lot of people don't realize that the very first circuit race in America was held in Cranston, Rhode Island in 1896.
Oh, really?
Of course, the first event, yes. The first
was it was it on
race.
Dirt, or was it a board track kind of thing?
It was on dirt. It was on a horse race track.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was another, Willie K. Vanderbilt had the first Vanderbilt Cup here in 1902, and that was held at another horse track here in Newport. And of course, he and his friends loved tearing up and down Bellevue Avenue in their cars here. And also the first traffic arrest was made here in Newport in 1904 for speeding.
Oh, really? Was it like going like absolutely. 12 in a 10 kind of thing? It was like
exactly.
Some ridiculously low number? Yeah.
It was driving and a walking.
Driving and a walking. I live on Venice Beach, and they still charge people with that. About 3 or 4 times a year, somebody takes a left and drives down the footpath and gets very lost, and it becomes a problem. Yeah, driving and a walking.
Driving and a walking. And so with the emphasis on racing, we've got some spectacular programs. First and foremost, we've got a great partnership with McLaren Racing. And so we've got a great McLaren bunch coming. Zach Brown, the CEO of McLaren Racing.
He's coming?
To be here. Mika Hakkinen is going to be here. Johnny Rutherford.
Really?
And David Donahue's doing a seminar with Mika Hakkinen and Johnny Rutherford. We've got a special class in the Concours Open with Legends. We'll have an amazing number of cars. We're going to have an unveiling of the most recent addition to the Audrain collections, the 1988 McLaren MP44 that Alain Prost drove to 3 victories and 3 second places in the 1988 season. That'll
amazing.
Be here, and Zach will unveil that car for us. We've got Judy Stropus, the legendary Motorsports Hall of Fame timer and scorer for Penske, interviewing Lynn St. James, who, as you know, voted one of the 100 top women athletes of the 20th century in Sports Illustrated.
Lynn St. James
Rookie of the Year in her
beast.
Indy 500. Oh, she's an amazing. I love her. She's one of my favorite people on the planet. She is so great.
How exciting to get that McLaren Formula One car, though. An MP44 is like that's a real find to get something like that. That's an impressive.
It's an amazing car, and actually, you can go to the Audrain Museum YouTube channel as well, and you see, I first saw the car at the Festival of Speed, and I interviewed Zach Brown with the car, and also talked to Daniel Ricciardo and to oh God, why did his name just fall in my head? That's pretty funny.
Lando Norris.
Come on. Lando Norris, thank you.
Yeah. All right. I just threw that dart right at the wall and hoped it worked. Yeah.
Yeah. It certainly did.
They got good personalities between Zach Brown, Daniel, and Lando. I really like the vibe of McLaren that's going on right now.
It seems fun.
It seems like they're having fun. Yeah, I like that.
They're having a great time, and as a consequence, they're doing well. I think the two do go hand in hand. You know, I loved your chat with Jensen Button.
Oh, Jensen rules! What a great guy.
He's a fantastic
guy. He rules. And that Radford thing, which I got to see in person. Have you seen the Radford in person yet?
I've not seen it in person, no.
It looks really good. It's really low. It's got the lowest roof of any modern car I've seen in a very long time. It's even lower than a GT40.
Well, I'm really curious to see that. One of the things that I'm really happy about, and I'm getting off topic here, but one thing I'm really happy about, because we've got so much to talk about, is the return of coach building.
Yes.
Because just like everybody thought that in the 1970s, performance was dead, and now it's back in a huge way. Everyone thought
almost too much. I think there's too much
performance
right now. I think performance is scary. That you can walk into a Dodge dealer and for $1,100 a month, no money down, walk out of there with an 800 horsepower Hellcat is unbelievable. You know.
Well, that gets me to another topic, which again, I'm gonna keep bringing it back to brand here because I have to do that. Because it's what I want to do, and it's also my job. But the having the experience with so many different cars, me personally, the kind of cars that I generally am gravitated towards are those small block cars where you have to really pay attention to your driving. If it's a track car, it's a momentum car. It's all about torque and power to weight ratio, not horsepower. And this is something that makes me enemies in places, but that's okay, Jay. Even the electric car thing, I think it's fantastic that they make these Teslas that accelerate so quickly. But is acceleration the only parameter of performance that you really care about? It's like, oh, I can't wait to get to another red light so I can accelerate.
I know exactly what you mean. No, I know exactly what you mean. I own an EV. I have the Ford Mach-E, and it's not the fastest one. It's the middle one, and it's still super quick. And when Tesla Model S came out in 2012, and they ran a 10-second quarter mile out of the box, I was genuinely very impressed, all right? But now, so now it runs a 9. Like, oh my God, that is so much more helpful. Thank you. You know what I mean? And like, I just don't care anymore. It's like now it's like, okay, EVs are dragsters. That's what they do. And moving on. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I think the coach building thing, as you just said, is so much more interesting. And it's weird how we got back to it by having the supercars become so mass production that people are now looking to take it so much further into specialty cars like Glickenhaus, coach building like Radford. It's really become very interesting. Even Pininfarina and like are doing their own cars. Like, what's going on? It's awesome.
Exactly, and it's a funny thing too that you mentioned Glickenhaus. Also coming up, I keep making these incredibly shameless plugs, but that's what I'm here for.
That's why you're here. Shameless away.
for the Audrain Museum Network, video that we'll be putting up next in what's today? Today's Friday. Oh, tonight. Is a great interview that I did with Cece Muldoon, one of my favorite people on the planet.
Didn't she just buy the first Glickenhaus? She just bought one, right?
Exactly. She ran it up the hill at Goodwood.
Did it work? Did it sound and look awesome?
It was absolutely amazing, and I had a great chat with her. And Cece is one of those people who you think a Hollywood casting director made up, because no one could be that smart, that charming, that funny, that beautiful. It's like she's everything and a total car nut. and it's astonishing. I absolutely love her, and the whole Glickenhaus thing I think is so fantastic.
She got an 003, I believe, or was it an 004? Yes. 003, right? SCG 003 was CC Muldoon's, and it's like a crazy color. It's like a green.
It's gold. It's gold. No, it's gold with a snakeskin patterned interior.
Yeah, go down one click there. Yeah, that's it right there. It is really wild. Look at this color. It is. Oh, you're right. It's very gold. Black wheels with some black highlights. Can you? Is the interior shot down there, Zach? If you can keep scrolling there, it has this. It legitimately has a snake skin interior. It's so nuts. It looks crazy. I mean, if you're gonna get one of these things, like, why not go wild?
Good for her.
Yeah,
really, kudos.
Yeah,
instead of just like. Wow.
I mean, if that interior was seriously, and I come from this business, if that was a handbag, a Ralph Lauren handbag, that's enough snakeskin to make like 10 handbags that would sell for $50,000 to $70,000 each.
Well, I gotta say,
Steamer trunk.
Also, kudos for she's clearly, and I mean this as a compliment. She's not looking at this car going, what's going to be the most popular interior color to sell this in the future for profit? It's not thinking about that. It's like, what do I want for my car? That's really cool. It's rare.
I bet seeing that car in action ruled.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. And it was also, she drove it in a slight drizzle as well.
Yes.
So, after her first run, it was like covered with a little bit of mud, and it was just fantastic. It was absolutely amazing because it's a car.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just absolutely astonishing.
I do like what Jim is doing with his Glickenhaus, with Scuderia Cameron Glickenhaus. In that new Canaan Concours Cars and Coffee I was at last week, the SCG 004 was there, as well as the boot. The boot is the jam. I'm so into the boot. I mean, it's not good looking. It's ugly, but like it's so functionally ugly that it's just full of charm. It's great.
It is. I said to him, it's like. You talk about ugly. It's like actually a very attractive lunar rover.
Yes. Yeah. It's like a lunar rover on crack. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. They've sold over 40 of those. They've got orders for 40 boots.
Which is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
What else are you feeling of the modern coach building program? What else are you really into? In general.
Well, I like the work that they're doing at Superleggera, Touring Superleggera.
What's that car they just launched? It's based on a Ferrari F8. What's it called? I forget. I'm blanking.
Oh, I can't remember the name of that car.
That's
either.
it on the top left. It's called no, not that. That one. Arese, ARESE RH95.
Oh, the Arese.
Arese.
Yeah, Arese.
It's very pretty.
Which is the place where they build Alfa Romeos in Arese. And it is, I think, more successful ultimately than the Shah de Persia, the last Maserati they did. But what I love about it is the fact that we're also having a panel here. One of our seminars is about continuations. And Bill Warner is moderating that panel with Steve Serio and...
Of course.
Of course.
Serio's probably got a couple things to say about that. He's been one of our favorite guests on the show. We love Serio.
Steve's a great friend of mine, and I love spending time with Steve. Steve Serio and Roger Allard, the Canadian
of Allard?
builds those new builds those new Allards that they're selling, and about continuations and Miles Collier is also on the panel. So it'll be a very interesting conversation, and Bill and I were talking about this, and regardless of what your opinion might be of continuations and replicas, the idea that there are cars like the Touring Superleggera, Arese, and the Radford cars, and these other things that people are building, they are original new cars. And, they're doing them in the spirit of what Radford did in terms of transforming sometimes fairly ordinary cars into extraordinary things.
Yeah.
With touring, just the idea of what they did from the 1930s onward, but in a totally modern idiom. And I think it makes it so much more special than having some 2,000 horsepower car that you can't even drive on a track, and you just sort of pose next to. Oh yeah, there's the.
I love this thing.
Oh yes, that's what is that based on? Is it based on Ferrari?
It's an Alpha. No, it's an Alpha. It's an Alpha 2.9.
Oh wait, I'm talking about the modern. Oh, the modern one, not the old one.
Ferrari.
It looks like a Ferrari 812 or 612 or so, right?
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Yes,
the
exactly.
old car there, based on the Alpha, is real hot. That looks awesome.
Yeah,
What's the story on that?
Absolutely amazing. It's an aerodynamic special built for the Mille Miglia and the Targa Florio, and it's very funny. I did the Mille Miglia Storica again this year for my 5th time, and I drove a 1940 Seata 1100 Fiat Aerodynamica coupe that actually run in the 1940 Mille Miglia.
That's so cool.
Again, it was an astonishing thing. 48 horsepower. But weighed 500 kilograms. So the thing was an absolute rocket.
Nothing.
Oh my God.
1,100 pounds.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
And
that's like driving a dinghy
in a drum. Yeah,
that's like a dinghy.
It was remarkable in 90-degree heat. With
Is this it?
With basically no windows.
What is this? Is this red car it, or that's the Alpha?
This is the Alpha.
That's the Alpha.
It's a red car.
Oh, that looks awesome. That looks awesome.
I should show you that car. Well, you'll see it at some point. But
the Mille Miglia is that's on my list. We got invited to the first Dubai Mille Miglia, which is in December, and actually we're gonna go, which should be interesting. We have no idea what we're driving.
It should be. You have to do the Mille Miglia in Italy, the Mille Miglia Storica, at least once. Every time I've done it, I said, okay, fine, I got that out of my system. And say I'll never ever do that again. And a couple of months later, it's like, what can I drive it in next time? But it is absolutely exhausting. It is maddening. As a matter of fact, again, shameless plug. Next up is that in the magazine that we publish, Linkage, our quarterly magazine, which is a wonderful, very beautifully produced, perfect bound quarterly book on the automotive life. I talk in the latest issue about my experience on the Mille Miglia, and it starts out by saying something like exhausting, ridiculous, enervating, all these things, but also thrilling and spectacular and unforgettable. It is truly an epic event, and you literally are in the car driving for 30 hours over 4 days.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. One of the things you breezed over it with your magazine, but one of the things I'm really kind of into in parallel with this modern coach building revival is that we've learned that there is a market for very high quality quarterly or bi-monthly car magazines. You know, the traditional car rag, you know, has sort of fallen by the wayside as digital and YouTube or whatever. But in the same way that people like that record sales are up, you know, a vinyl, and that people are getting into coach building, people are into a higher quality, better produced, better printed magazine that's almost like a coffee table book. That I like that's happening now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I've also likened it to radio. People have spoken about the death of radio so many times, and radio still exists. It's not what radio was in the 1930s and 40s, or even the 50s, even 60s for that matter, but it is live and well and vibrant in all sorts of forms. On iTunes, on iTunes, satellite radio. You know, it's amazing. I think more people I know today listen to radio and satellite radio in their cars and at home that listened to radios in the 1990s and 1980s.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when it went away from radio into CD and cassette, and then, you know, the MP3, but satellite gives you, although maybe not for the super audio files because it is compressed, but what's amazing about satellite radio is uniformity across the country. Channel 28 is Channel 28 in Newport, just like it is in Los Angeles, and you could drive from one side of the country to the other and have exactly the same stations, which I like that a lot.
Although, of course, there are those people of a certain age, of which I may be one, who also, part of the essential driving experience on driving trips was every 10 or 15 miles trying to find a strong enough station that would hold you for another 10 or 15 miles.
Yeah. I don't miss
want to do that.
I don't miss that. I'm okay without that. I'm good. I want to get back to the show, but before we do, you said you're kind of have an experience with the car and then move on. So give me some of the highlights of your personal collection, what you've had and moved on from that were really special to you, and then we'll talk about the Motor Week.
That's obviously a really difficult thing to say. I like the cars that I have currently, although they're just about to change. I'm doing a sort of my wholesale changeover. But I do like to look back. I remember looking at my computer not long ago and seeing a picture that I had taken of the cars that I had. I think this was in 2006. And I thought, for the type of collection that I like to do, this is probably sort of the perfect flight of cars. Because I like the idea of sort of horses for courses. The cars that I have all have to have very different driving experiences for me to own them. I don't like to have 3 cars of the same type.
Yeah, I'm into that.
This makes no sense to me.
No, I'm into that. Yeah, the variety.
At this one point in this photo, there's a photo taken. I was living in Connecticut, and there's a photo taken of my car lined up outside the warehouse that I rented. And I had my last vintage race car, which was a 1950 was a special called the Crosley Gardner Special, based on a 1950 Crosley Hotshot. That was an amazing car. That was, when it was new, it was on the cover of Honk and Hop Up magazines. The guy that built it, Chuck Gardner, Glendale, California, won every race he entered in his class in Southern California and in Arizona in 53 and 54. He sold in 55 to a guy who put it in a private museum. Then it became a vintage race car when vintage racing first started in the 1970s. And it was a really, really neat thing. It ran on Hellofresh magnesium sprint car wheels. This is a joke about the fact that the most valuable part of my race car were the wheels.
The wheels, yeah. Those you can't find those wheels. Those are unobtainium. Yeah.
No, you can't. And people will say, "Aren't you nervous about driving on those? If the tire rolls over and it hits the pavement, it'll just blow up." I said, "I'm not going fast enough for that to happen." And then, sort of, if I wanted pre-war motoring, I had a 1953 Lancia Ardea sedan, which is obviously technically post-war, but it was introduced in 1939. Really, really fantastic supercar with all of the incredible engineering excellence that Lancia is known for. Wonderful pillarless suicide door, so front and rear doors opening together, so you had a pillarless entry. The first production 5-speed gearbox in the car. It was an amazing thing.
It was an Aurelia? Zach's trying to find a picture. Lancia Aurelia?
No, an Ardea.
Oh, Ardea.
It's a smaller version. Ardea.
Yes. I want to see what this looks like, because I know the Aurelia. Oh, yeah. It looks like a pre-war. It's cute.
Yeah,
it's a cute little car.
As a matter of fact.
Very charming.
Because it probably is. No, it's
yours is probably one of the pictures. Yeah.
I was looking to see if mine was one of the pictures. I actually sold this car to Judy Stropus, so it's sort of still in the family, so I know where it is. And I also had, for sort of top-down wind in my motoring.
Aerodynamic. We're aerodynamic. Exactly. You and I. It's no problem. Top-down is good. Yeah.
That's right. I had a 1960 Alfa Romeo 2000 Touring Spider.
Oh, that's lovely.
Which is a really neat car.
Yeah.
And then when I wanted to go fast, I had a 69 Lamborghini Islero.
Oh, Islero. That's an interesting one. You don't see a lot of those around. They're neat.
You don't.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
The Islero and the Jarama are those are like the two Lamborghinis you just never hear about. Yeah. How many Isleros did they make, you just said?
125.
Yeah, like none. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And so what's in the collection today?
1953 Jaguar Mark 7 sedan, which I am the second owner, which is astonishing.
Oh, wow.
A 1960 Fiat 1500 Oscar Pininfarina coupe. Again, Pininfarina coach building. This is a car that Pininfarina built and sold directly to the public themselves. They only made 300 of those. A 1981 Ferrari 400i.
Classy.
A 1987 Fiat Panda 750 CL.
Okay.
And it was my everyday car in Italy for 3 years, and I brought it back over here. It's a fabulous car. I think
that's fun.
There it is. As a matter of fact, if you look, I think that picture. See if that's my car.
Those are. If you go to Italy, those things are just everywhere. They are boxy. They are not attractive, but charming in their own way.
Attractive. They're one of Giorgetto Giugiaro's most brilliant designs. And first of all, think about this: the car was introduced at a time when, to me, I think that practically anyone, can design a sports car or a luxury car. To design a utility car that is entertaining to drive, comfortable to drive, and just a hoot is a much, much harder job. And the Panda is a wonderful car to drive. And it's very funny, I was corresponding with a friend, an Irishman, who drove his Panda from Ireland to Italy, where he sort of camped out during the pandemic. But I said the longest adventure I took in mine was driving. I had an apartment in Bergamo, Italy, about 40 minutes east of Milan. I drove from there to Monaco for the Monaco historic races, and that was quite an adventure. I didn't realize that the autostrada between the Italian border and France was completely uphill until I drove it in the Panda.
When you're in a Mercedes S500, you don't even notice the incline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was a hoot.
My wife has a 1991 Mitsubishi Delica, the van. And it's it's 83 horsepower, 6-passenger van, and it's totally fine and doesn't feel that slow until you've got to go to the valley, and you realize getting over the hill, it's like, oh, that's what 83 horsepower is. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Exactly, really, really, really tall.
But what a great souvenir to bring home.
Yeah, It was absolutely fantastic, and I'm second owner of that car as well. And then I have the last of the sort of fun cars is a 1999 Mercedes 230 SLK 5-speed manual.
Oh yeah, rare. They didn't have a lot of manuals. Yeah. Didn't sell a lot of manuals.
No,
they're cool.
Didn't.
Is it like the ridiculous launch yellow? Tell me it's the yellow.
No, it's silver.
Okay.
It's silver.
I would have double respect if it was the launch color yellow. I see one of those around LA once in a while. Yeah.
You don't
classic.
find yellow ones in the Northeast.
Yeah, they didn't sell. The only yellow cars in the Northeast are Ferrari 355s and Land Rover Discoveries.
Maybe an old WRX.
and
old
Subaru Bajas, the Subaru Outback pickup truck.
And so a bunch of those cars are going away because I'm buying something very uncharacteristic for me. I'm buying a new high-performance car. Which I thought I'd never, ever, ever do. So,
are you keeping under wraps until it shows up? Is it just so off-brand you don't want to say?
I won't. No. It's fine. It's something that people sort of expect from me, but didn't think that I would ever do.
Okay.
So there you are. I won't get it till March. So.
All right. Yeah. Well, the chip shortage.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, you could tell me off mic at the Audrain. So aside from the Concours, which is Sunday, what is it? The second?
October 3rd.
October 3rd. Sunday, October 3rd. Yes. It's a whole week of stuff. So I haven't been. I've only been to Newport once. It's a beautiful place. I can't wait. I'm coming by boat. And I'm staying at 41 Degrees North, which is a new marina that was recommended by Doug. Should be very fun. So I arrive on Thursday evening. What do I do? What should I do for the weekend? What are the activities?
Well, you'll arrive on Thursday evening, and I hope, I'm not going to put myself out here, I hope that we've invited you to our welcome dinner, which is open to entrants and VIP guests. And that's at Ochre Court, which is one of the great Gilded Age mansions, which today is the headquarters of the administration building of Salve Regina University.
Oh.
And it's a wonderful thing there. We'll have the welcome dinner there. The Concours Village, which is at the International Tennis Hall of Fame, which is right down the block here on Bellevue Avenue from the Audrain Museum, is the heart of our Concours, and the Concours Village will have some manufacturer displays. McLaren will have a great display there. We'll have vendors there selling various items. And we also will have our Bonhams auction. Bonhams is having a collector car sale on Friday evening, so they'll be in preview on Thursday. And we'll also have a number of seminars on Thursday. Wayne Carini is doing a seminar talking about the Hero Hata Mercury, which is arguably the most famous custom in the world, and that will be here as well.
What is it? I have never. Hero Hata Mercury. Zach's pulling it up. What is?
Hero Hata Mercury, yes.
So is that like? Yes. Is this the Mercury upon which all other quote chopped Mercs are based?
That is it. Yes, indeed.
Oh, I didn't really know that there was one. Is Hiro Hata a person? Is that who built it?
Yes, Hiro Hata was not the one who built it. Was the first owner.
Oh, is that him? That's him there, standing next to it. Oh, wow! If you didn't know it was the first, it looks just like a very nice chopped Merc from the 50s, lead sled. But knowing that if the first person to ever do that must have been really wild.
They look so good.
It looks awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. Who owns this car now?
I can't say.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't know if it was a secret. Yeah. That's fine. All right. Cool. And the car will the car be on display as well?
The car will be on display
cool.
during the seminar, and then also, well, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but it'll also be on display the next day at another event. But staying here on Thursday for a moment, again, we have more great seminars. We have that seminar with Mika Hakkinen and Johnny Rutherford on Thursday. We also have a seminar on Friday, moving into Friday, with Jay speaking with Franz von Holzhausen, the Tesla designer, talking about what it's like to design the future, as it were. We've got Tim Gross doing a seminar on East Coast hot rods to dovetail with our exhibition at the museum. We've got Miles Collier, myself, and Mark Hyman talking about research and what that means in terms of restoration decisions and what it means in terms of the market. How do we actually sort of care about cars and what does it mean for the future? And does the market care about that? We've got also on Friday, The Gathering, which is a luxury lifestyle event at Rough Point, which is the mansion of Doris Duke. And there we will have another wonderful display of hot rods. We'll have some great supercars there. We'll have the public unveiling of our MP44 alongside a new McLaren Senna, which is painted in MP44 livery. We'll have the usual suspects, an FXX, an SP1, an SP2, an Elva, Speedtail, those things, and some really terrific food and wonderful drink as well. And that'll be Friday during the day. Friday evening is the Bonhams auction that starts at 5:30 at the International Tennis Hall of Fame. On Saturday, we will have more seminars, including a seminar that Jay and I are doing on East Coast versus West Coast collecting.
I want to see that one. Count me in for that one for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. And the tour, our tour d'elegance, where our Concours d'elegance entries will be making a 60-mile tour from Narragansett across to Jamestown Island, around Jamestown
60
Island.
60 miles. You guys are at Pebble Beach and there's 17 miles. Amateurs.
No,
on the East Coast, we do 60 miles.
It might snow.
Exactly. We're going to have snow. We're going to have some hail.
Yeah.
We're certainly going to have a hurricane come in. And that'll be quite dramatic because the tour will we'll have a Cars and Coffee as well on Saturday morning out at Fort Adams. And we're expecting about 550 or so cars at that Cars and Coffee. The tour car will stop there and then gather together and come here and park on Bellevue Avenue, which will be closed for a display of the cars here in front of the museum and the International Tennis Hall of Fame, our Concours Village. And then on Saturday night, we'll have our museum fundraising gala at the International Tennis Hall of Fame. And then Sunday morning is the Concours d'Elegance on the lawn at the Breakers, the great Vanderbilt cottage here in Newport.
Wow, that's like a packed weekend.
Yeah.
A lot to do. I'm going to have to circle back with your assistant and make sure I have all the tickets to the appropriate things.
Exactly. Yes, you must.
That sounds amazing.
Are selling out very quickly. And
the tickets are still available for the Concours?
Tickets are still available for the Concours. We are actually, I think, sold out for the gala. But we do have some all-inclusive tickets available. We also have some of the seminars are still available for sale. And be sure to check those out as well, obviously. Wine by the Water, which is actually being held at 41 North, where you're staying, is sold out.
Well, I don't need a ticket.
You won't be able to go to that.
I'll be right there. No, I'll be there already.
We have a special red velvet rope saying this is only for ticket holders, not people who come in from California to stay at the hotel.
Forget the hotel. I'll be on the docks. I'm not staying at the hotel. I'm staying on the boat. I'm gonna sneak. I'm gonna don my scuba gear and swim up.
Exactly. You'll have to do one of those James Bond numbers and come in your wetsuit, unzip it to your tuxedo, and step onto the deck.
Zach here has discussed approaching the Pebble Beach Concours by Frog Suit and Zodiac, and they have weaknesses in their security.
They do.
And the weaknesses are from the water.
If I never want to go to the show again, this is how I will go to the show for the last time.
The last time will be a tuxedo under a wetsuit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have plans. Nothing dangerous, of course.
And do it actually from a submarine. Have the submarine come in and just raise its periscope there in Stillwater Cove. And then
who do we know that owns a submarine?
We'll just have to call Bezos. He'll be around. Yeah, no problem.
Like Jay might have one. Jay probably has a
Leno's got a submarine somewhere.
He's
got it hidden. We don't know about it, but he's got a submarine somewhere.
Exactly. And one of the things, of course, I want to make sure that we talk about for the Concours on Sunday, of course, is our great 30 under 30 class, which was the brainstorm of Jay. And it's a terrific thing. We talk about access and enthusiasm. The idea, people are always concerned about bringing younger people into the Concours field and into the sort of mainstream of car collecting. And a lot of that is the fact that there are a lot of young people that I know certainly who are very, very passionate about car. And some of them feel that they are not welcome at some events that they like to go to. And what we've sought to do and have successfully done here in our inaugural 2019 event, and certainly have expanded for this year, is to make people understand that collecting starts where it starts, and that the collecting field is growing daily. So not to limit our minds about what is worthy of veneration on a Concours field. So this is a class for owners 30 years old and younger who have $30,000 or less invested in their cars. Obviously, we're not counting sweat equity because a lot of them have a lot more. If they were charging an hourly rate, they have probably $400,000 into their cars. But it's really fantastic. And we had a great turnout in 2019. And there was a documentary that was produced on the Concours called Best in Class, The Making of a Concours, which has an unfortunate name, I think, in a way, because it's not really what the story turned out to be. It wasn't about how we put on a Concours. It was about the people who came and what it meant to them to participate in the events and to be with their cars and to share the stories of their cars with them. And at the heart of that story is the 30 to 30 class and some of the participants in that class. The response was so terrific, not only with the entrants in the 30 and 30 class, but the other entrants in the Concours and the visitors, that they were so happy to see these cars on the field, judged as the other cars on the field were judged. And the best of class in 30 to 30 was equally considered with all the other best of class winners for best of show. And this year we actually have two 30 into 30 classes because the entry was so large. And as they came in, as is normally the case with a show, you look at the entry and you figure out how to divide the classes. We knew that we were going to have two 30 into 30 classes. We thought, well, perhaps we'll do domestic production and non-domestic production. But we're looking at the entries. Oh, there's a Porsche 944. Oh, there's another Porsche 944. Oh my gosh, there's another one. So we end up actually with a class of all Porsche 944s in the 30 and then a general class, which runs from a 1922 Franklin to a 1991 BMW 325i convertible.
That's hilarious that you just had enough 944s to make their own class. That's really funny.
It's fantastic. And again, people think about sort of how generations mix in the collector car field. And the 944 is a really funny car because I actually ordered a 944 new in 1982. I canceled the order and bought a Scirocco instead for a variety of reasons. But it's so funny because a 944 appeals to a 60-year-old guy and it appeals to a 20-year-old woman. I mean, it's the thing about what the essence of the car is and the experience that the car delivers. And that makes all the difference, you know.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I definitely feel you on the 60-year-old guy and 20-year-old guy. Like that I've personally experienced that with the 944 here in Southern California. We've got a few questions from our Patreon subscribers. If you've got a few more minutes, Don.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to start with Ben Stahl. Wants to know, could you explain a bit how you went about curating the Ferrari exhibit at Heather James and the GM Design concept car exhibit at the Audrain Museum? How do you procure the cars? Is it as simple as knowing owners? What is that strategy like?
Well, the simple answer to that question is yes, it's all about knowing owners. The Heather James Ferrari and Futurists came about in a very interesting way. There were 4 cars in the exhibition. A 166 Vignale coupe, a 212 Touring Barchetta, this 500 Superfast, and a 250 GT Speciale, and they're all owned by Don and Carol Murray, who are very good friends of mine, and they're very good friends of the owners of this gallery, which I was as well. And we started talking about cars as art, and we said, it'd really be great to do an exhibition, and none of the cars were for sale. So the question was, why would you put something which is not for sale in an art gallery where they want to sell works of art? But I think it was about sort of stimulating the imagination about what art was and what it meant. And plus, I've always loved futurist art as well, Italian futurist art. And so I went to his collection, and together we picked out these 4 cars because I thought that they had wonderful stories to tell, and they also related very well to the entire idea that the Italian futurist artists had of machines as kinetic art, and the interest in speed. Speed was very, very, very central part of Italian futurist art, and I thought that all these cars really expressed that so well. And I thought that at the heart of Ferrari, it's all about speed and style. And so I thought these 4 cars were great. For the GM design exhibition, that was really something quite fortuitous. I had started talking. I became very friendly with Ed Welburn, who was a retired senior VP for design at General Motors, and then later met his successor, Michael Simcoe, the current head of GM design. And we talked about doing something originally, and I was doing my exhibitions based on my book, Stile Transatlantico, Transatlantic Style, another great shameless plug.
You're good at slipping them in. You really are. You're sneaking them in with the best of them. Yeah.
Published by Coach Bell Press. It's a book that talks about the creative exchange between Italy and America in post-war auto design. A decade and a half after World War II.
Well, there's so many interesting cars that come from that period too. I mean, the Italian-bodied, American-powered cars, the Corvette Rondinette. You've got a picture up of. I've never seen this '53 Corvette with this hardtop on it. Oh, they called that Corvair.
That's the Corvair. Yes, that's the Corvair.
It looks awesome.
It's an amazing, amazing car. That came from the Ken Lingenfelder collection.
Oh yeah, great collection.
And so it is so that's how the conversation started. And then when I came here to the Audrain, I thought, wouldn't it be really great to do a design exhibition based on GM? And so I thought, well, we'll ask for a few cars. And Michael Simcoe, and he said, well, tell me what you want. So I said, okay, fine.
Well, that's dangerous.
Someone gives me a blank check, I'm going to fill it out. Yeah. So I requested these 11 cars from the Heritage Center. He said, okay, fine. And they had never loaned that many cars from the Heritage Center collection before. So we had this amazing exhibition that ran. The only unsuccessful part we had was that we wanted to get a 1927 LaSalle, which is the first car that Earl did in the art and color section. but we instead had a 1930 Cadillac 16, which is sort of the second car, the first mainstream car.
That's pretty awesome too. Cadillac 16 is pretty awesome car.
And it was a wonderful balance because the earliest car was that 1930 Cadillac 16. The latest car in the exhibition was the wonderful Cadillac 16 concept car from 2006.
Oh yeah, that was an awesome car. There was like 10 years where Cadillac, like in the 2000s, was just smashing these concepts out and then giving us really boring production cars.
Yeah,
not succeeding. Look at that. That's fabulous.
And the fact that it came so close to production is just so incredibly sad.
That's a really, really cool car. I like that.
And to have with that, some of the most extraordinary design concepts ever. The Y job, which is now sort of the first international dream car. The Buick Sabre, to have the Cadillac Cyclone, the mid-engine Corvette, the Aerovet.
Oh yeah.
We had
Did
the
you get some like Motorama stuff too? Yeah.
Yes. The Firebird 3, we had
those were awesome.
In the back.
Those Firebird concepts were so sick. I was at Pebble when they showed when they had the Motorama display, and to see all those cars in one place was just absolutely incredible. That Cadillac Cyclone rules.
Cadillac Cyclone is amazing, and I love there's a picture down there on the bottom row, the third in from the left. It's a picture of Ed Wellborn.
With Ed Wellborn with it, yeah.
Yes. Because
he looks cool as hell right next to that car, doesn't he?
Show. Well, he saw it at a car show and said that's what inspired him to be a car rider. Seeing this Cyclone.
It's so interesting when you put a person next to that car. If you look at that car without a human next to it and then with a human next to it, in my opinion, the car gets about 30% smaller when you put a human next to it, right?
You think that it's this absolutely immense thing when you see it alone, but it's actually quite a petite car.
Yeah, it's like the size of a Thunderbird.
We also had here in Newport at the exhibition and at the show as judges an amazing array of GM design talent. We had not only, of course, Michael Simcoe, the current VP of design. We also had Ed Wellborn. The immediate past, we had Wayne Cherry. We had Dennis Little, who retired as the head of the Cadillac studio. We had Kip Wasenko, who designed all those wonderful Cadillac concept cars like the Evoque and all those things. The
Evoque, yeah.
What do they call that? Science.
Art and Science.
I can't remember what the name of it.
Art and Science. Yeah. Art and Science. Yeah. The Evoque was cool. The Evoque became the XLR, but it was watered down a little bit. For production. The concept car is very aggressive and cool. Yeah. And then they had that, what is that one? Oh, the EV, what's the one at the bottom next to that? It's like a mid-engined Cadillac Evoque. Look to the right, underneath the main picture. That one. No, whatever.
No, next one over.
It was one over, but whatever. It was a mid-engine one that might have become that GM EcoJet thing that.
Yes, this is the car. Yes, Jay's jet engine car is largely based on this design.
Yeah. Which I've seen him drive the EcoJet, which is a turbine-powered concept car that's just obscene. That's very cool. I mean, GM has always had fabulous concept cars, but that's all. It's always. I mean, at least since in the 90s and 2000s, the concept cars have never. The real flair of them has never made it quite to the road, has it?
That is actually, and I have to figure out where I'm going to do it. Perhaps I'll get to do it here at the Audrain. An exhibition of concepts and production cars.
Yeah.
To see sort of who got it closest, who really lost it. The Ford. Do you remember the Ford? The Mercury Capri. Convertible,
yes,
that they had.
Yeah,
you look at the Ghia Barchetta concept, which was the start of that, was an amazing car, and it lost almost everything.
Yeah, the Mercury Capri was pretty sad. Even by Lotus Elan standards, the Mercury Capri was pretty sad. It was not. It was a sad little car. Oh, there's the Ghia Barchetta. Let me see the Ghia Barchetta.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Ghia Barchetta looks rad. It looks Italian.
It was very, very, very cool. Exactly.
Yeah.
But the production car just looked like a lump.
Yeah, the production Capri was not good. But I think I wanted to do a comedic, like improv show that was called The Boardroom, which is where you would sit around and the idea would be, okay, you all play executives and your only directive is to land on a very, like let's call it the Aztec is the obvious one. So we need to reenact the decisions that landed on the Pontiac Aztec as it was sold being the perfect solution. Yes, that's it. Print it. And it doesn't matter how you get there. We just have to circle the drain of ideas until we get there in the boardroom. I like your concept versus reality plan. Yeah.
Yeah. As you might have imagined, having gotten to know so many people in GM design over the years, generally, the third question I ask, because I'm not a rude person, is, so how did that whole Aztec approval thing go?
Yeah. Well, but you know what? It's funny. They were ahead of the time because now there's a lot of cars that have Aztec-like qualities. I mean, there really are.
The cladding and the functionality.
The sloped rear back, the cladding, the sort of overlanding vibe. I mean, there's a lot of Aztec-like qualities that in other cars. The Lamborghini Urus in yellow looks an awful lot like an Aztec.
Very true. I think like with the ZDX, though, is a little bit better.
Yeah, the Acura ZDX is another one that was a terrible flop that predicted the future.
Yeah. And much better looking than the Aztec.
It was better looking, although I reviewed it in period, and it was trash. It was not good. Let's move on to our next question, but I like your idea of the concept versus reality. Joe wants to know, you mentioned the Fiat Panda, but what are some of your other favorite beautifully designed utility cars?
Okay. I happen to think that the original Austin Mini is absolutely spectacular.
Sure.
And it was the Austin Mini would not be what it was. Alex Agaras did a brilliant job designing that car. But of course, it owes a lot to the Fiat Topolino of the 1930s. And people who see a Topolino, again, we talked about scale. If you see a Topolino, you think, oh, you have to be at about 4'7" to fit in that car. But you open the door and there's tons of room inside. And the packaging is absolutely brilliant.
It's a hilarious looking car. We were talking on the last show about Legends race cars. You know those Legends race cars?
Sure.
This looks like an Italian Legends race car, basically.
Well,
Very
you put
upright.
that next to that. You look at that and then look at that aerodynamic touring-bodied 8C Alfa Romeo. They're very, very, very similar.
Yeah.
They have a lot in common.
Yeah. The Italians can do scale.
Yes.
That's a good one.
So that's definitely.
Yeah, I like that. I like those answers. Craig wants to know, if you can figure it out, what was the peak year for the automobile?
Well, I'm one of those people who certainly feels about my own life. The best day in my life is today. And the best
power of now
day might be tomorrow. Just as we were talking about the fact that we thought that performance was dead in the 1970s, and it's come back. There are those people who hold that sort of 65, 66, 67, sort of the highlight of the automobile, as many enthusiasts appreciate it because it was the last time when engineers and stylists could do what they wanted to do without bothering with any sort of legislation to direct design. I would also, however, say that while I love the cars of that period very, very much, and again, I'm a big fan of coach building, so I love coach built cars from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I have really come to admire and really become fascinated by brass era cars. Because you think about the pace of development. At Pebble Beach, the Audrain showed two cars and the Concours. We had our 1953 Ferrari 250 Europa Pininfarina Coupe and the Pininfarina Ferrari post-war class. And then we had in the veteran class our 1916 Packard Twin 6 I-25 Roadster. And I drove that car in the Pebble Beach tour. It was actually 50 miles, so I had to be fair to them. You drive all the way down to the Big Sur and back. And realizing two things. One, that this car was such an incredible delight to drive, powerful and smooth. Now, of course, you had to plan ahead because there's two-wheel rear brakes. So stopping is not a strong point. It goes quite well. Yes, that's our Ferrari right there. That in that picture there, the burgundy one, that's our car.
Very nice.
And but think about the fact that in 1899, James Packard built his first one-cylinder car, and 17 years later, he had built and was marketing the 12-cylinder engine that inspired Enzo Ferrari. It's astonishing.
Well, and then to go from that, 20 years after that, you had race cars that were doing 120 miles an hour, and then 10 years after that, you had Ferraris built like that beautiful GT car we just showed. So that was that 30 years or so, if compared to 30 years, 1995 to today, the pace of development was far, far quicker back then.
With larger changes, probably.
Yeah.
Exactly. And basically everything we have in cars today was invented before World War I, and we've just been refining it or bringing it back as technology will now allow some of the ideas which were sort of slightly harebrained to be realized.
Right.
And I remember standing in a restoration, actually it was RM Restorations, and they had one of the Benz Totten Motorwagen replicas in the shop, and they just finished restoring the chassis of a Duesenberg Model J. And I thought, good Lord, there's basically 40 years between that and the Duesenberg with dual overhead cams and central oiling and 100-mile-per-hour performance. It's like, it's remarkable.
Amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. The pace of development at that time. Yeah, no, it does. It does. Thoughts on, I don't know if you have a thought on this, but thoughts on the McLaren CEO doing the shoey out of Daniel Ricciardo's boot. I don't see a problem with that.
That's team building.
It's teammate. That's a team exercise.
Exactly.
It's pretty gross.
And I think that knowing the bet that Ricciardo made with Cyril Abiteboul for the tattoo after getting the podium for Renault, I think Zach is just trying to sort of keep his options a little closer. Say,
If I do this nasty thing, he won't make me get the tattoo. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love
think
Drive
also
to Survive
scientifically
because
proven
makes us know
that,
about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that there's also some scientific evidence that the alcohol in champagne kills the germs in driving.
Sure. Yeah, of course. And if not, it might add a little more carbonation to the champagne. Yeah.
Alejandro, what was that last? What is that last note that I sent?
Is it? Oh yes, it's funk. It's purely Alpine Stars shoe funk. Yes. Alejandro wants to know, what would be your choice for a classic muscle car restoration and build under $100,000?
Actually, I can answer that question very, very, very quickly, because I think that one of the most undervalued muscle cars out there is the AMX 390. It's an astonishing car. It is, to me, and I've actually said this and been recorded, now I've been recorded twice saying this. You think about the difference between, and I love Mustangs, and one day before I die, I'm going to have a 65 289 K-Code Fastback, one of my favorite cars on the planet. But you compare that to driving a Shelby GT350, and the way a Shelby GT350 goes fast and turns and does it all like a solid rock. The AMX 390 is an amazing car. It had better build quality than any, certainly Cuda or Camaro, most Mustangs, and also has great performance. I think it's a stunning looking car, and people just don't care about it. And so you can get a really terrific car and drive the hell out of it, and you will have fun. Again, if you care more about your driving experience and less about what other people think about the car you drive, you're much better off in life.
That's a good one. Do you find that in terms of when you said people aren't thinking about it, do you find that dead brands lose some of their luster for some of the audience? Are people less into Pontiacs now than they were 15 years ago because Pontiac, is not around building new cars still, and that could be a thing with AMX. Just people are getting older and forgot or never knew that AMX was really a brand, and so that may hurt the value of it, and it's why they get overlooked.
Absolutely. One of the things that happens, of course, is that everybody likes to see their choice reflected in a larger market, which makes us all feel better because other people are doing what we do. And even if you have, a 10-year-old or 12-year-old, 15-year-old BMW, you still see new BMWs coming out that make you think, oh, this is what the brand represents, and this is what, therefore, the car I'm driving means this. And, you get that connection with the larger world. You certainly obviously see that in the world of Porsche. Where everyone relates to the latest whatever that's come out, even though they're driving, sort of 1987 911. So yeah, there's definitely that factor. Plus, on the other side of that, just as in the Hot Rod exhibition downstairs here in the museum right now, one of the great surprises and pleasant surprises to me was seeing the number of these cars which are owned by young people in their 20s and 30s who own these hot rods built before their parents were born in some cases.
Yeah.
And they have this great enthusiasm. And the car I'm going to tell you about that I ordered, that I'm not talking about today, I'll tell you about when you get here. The salesman who sold me the car is a guy who is 31 years old, and he and his wife have one collector car, a Kaiser Dragon.
Wow.
What the hell would they be doing with the Kaiser Dragon? But they saw one at a show.
Most people have never even heard of a Kaiser Dragon.
Exactly.
It's a really strange car.
Wackiest, neat thing.
Yeah.
And so they bought one because they absolutely loved it.
It's got kind of like a Hudson vibe, but like a little Studebakery maybe. But it's a weird looking car. Kaisers they built some weird stuff.
Yeah.
There was no other car built that had widow's peak on the windshield. Except for the Dragon.
Widow's peak on
it's got a widow's peak. Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah. And the Dragon also has a patterned vinyl top. So it's not just a vinyl top; it's a patterned, like alligator pattern.
Oh wow, that's cool.
It's like, I guess, dragon skin.
Yeah.
But it's an incredibly cool car. You want something different from the 50s. That's it.
Yeah.
So there is an opportunity for people if, again, you can look past the fact that you join the club and many people in the club will be 90 years old, but you bring down the age, the average age dramatically simply by buying one, showing up at a club.
That's cool. I like that. For me, if I was going to do a muscle car, I would. My father, when he graduated from college in the early 1970s, had a 72 GTO in orange. And I always liked the style of the GTO. I always liked the cartoony, the judge thing. I thought that was cool. And so I think muscle cars are really about attitude. I don't think any of them drive particularly well compared to some of the other stuff I drive. So I'll lean into the attitude.
Drive an AMX 390. But yeah, Hemi Cudas. Oh my God. I hate to offend anyone out there.
No, they're not so good. They're not so good. Yeah, I know. I've driven a couple of them. They're not great. But I've always had an affinity for the goat. So I would go with the goat, although that may not be perfectly objective. Well, Don, I've really enjoyed our conversation. I love your energy. I love your outlook. I love your suits. And I can't wait to hang out with you and the Newport crew in 2 weeks at the Audrain Concours. Tickets still available at audrainconcours.com. And I assume you can get all the information about where to be, when to be there, where to stay, what seminars to sign up for if the show wasn't enough for you, and the East Coast versus West Coast hot rod battle. I think we need to sign me up for that for sure. And
exactly.
Next time you come back to California, please come visit us in studio, and we'll chat cars some more for sure.
We'll count on that. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your time. Donald Osborne of the Audrain Museum and on Jay Leno's Garage and every magazine you've ever read about classic cars, the man has been in.
Oh, yeah. Season 6 is coming up.
Jay Leno's Garage, Season 6? Nice. And, of course, the YouTube channel, the Audrain Museum YouTube channel where Donald... I'm sorry, say it again. What's it called?
Audrain Museum Network.
Audrain Museum Network on YouTube. Google it, like, and subscribe. Thanks, Don. It was great having you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. And for the rest of y'all, have a good weekend. Thank you for listening to us, and we'll see you later. Bye.